Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Naji. So this is going to be a little bit different of a video than I usually do, which I might end up doing these sorts of videos more often. Uh, basically, I had a Road to Diamond episode ready, or I at least had footage for Road to Diamond, but I found out the audio was completely garbled and unusable. And so, whereas the last one had a little bit of garbled audio, but you could still have some intelligible speech most of the time, this was the opposite, where like most of the time it was garbled, and every so often you get something intelligible. So I just decided to cut that footage and start over. But in starting over, I now am not prepared for Friday, so this is the video. And so I just wanted to talk a little bit about Inquisitor's bad matchups, or at least the matchups that are giving me the most problems. I'm sure if these characters were changed in some way, I'd find other characters to complain about, but that's just how fighting games are. And yeah, like I'll talk about that first. Bad matchups are something you'll never get away from, because unless there's only one character in the game, there'll always be one character who's better than the other. And so that's the same thing with tier lists, where there's nothing wrong with tier lists or having a top tier. It's just a nature of fighting games, because the game isn't about one character's strength. It's a game about one character's strengths and weaknesses versus another character's strengths and weaknesses. And as long as they have different strengths and different weaknesses, they'll have different advantages and different disadvantages depending on the game state. And if the common game state happens to favor one character over another, that character will have a favorable matchup against the other character. So I mean, yeah, it's all to say that this is just the nature of fighting games. It's nothing to really, just because I'm complaining doesn't mean there's anything that needs to be changed necessarily. Though, because I'm losing, that needs to change. This video, I don't have all the answers, and the reason why I'm complaining about these characters is because I don't actually know what to do against them. So if you have any tips, please leave it in the comments. If I didn't mention a character that you're having trouble with, please leave it in the comments. I like the discussion. So the first character I have trouble with is the character you see in the back. It is Ranger. Ranger, I mean, from my perspective, Ranger is faster than me. He has more range than me, and even in my effective range, which is around mid-screen or around start, he has plenty of ways to like give my life a living hell. And so I have to play out of my mind in order to just win a round against Ranger. And every mistake I make, he just goes into one special that he repeats 3 or 4 times, and it does like 2/3 of my health. And to top it all off, his awakening skill negates my awakening skill. Like, it's not fair, man. So I said earlier in the beginning of this game's life that zoners are going to be a problem, just because this game is a little bit simpler and movement is a little bit more constrained. And Rangers kind of typifies this. And another thing that really annoys me, I guess is the best word for it. I don't know if this is an Inquisitor problem, but basically his normal like zoning normals, his gunshots, they catch jumping. And I don't know, for me, my understanding of zoners is that if you have a horizontal move, it should be jumped over. Like, the weakness should be that it could be jumped over. And they decided that the weakness for his horizontal gunshots is rolls. But the problem with Inquisitor is that her rolls recovery is like 10 years. And then people were saying in the comments that her rolls recovery is like exceptionally bad compared to the rest of the cast. But that means that against Ranger, she's exceptionally vulnerable against his stuff, because like the weakness that his character is designed around, her version of it is terrible. Anyway, so like for Inquisitor, I had to make kind of big reads and hope for the best. And if the Ranger just is aware a little bit, I won't be able. I shouldn't be able to win a round. All right, so moving on. My next matchup that gives me trouble is Dragon Knight. Dragon Knight, it's kind of like Ranger, but like, opposite. Dragon Knight is a rushdown character, and she's very effective at it. I don't think this is a like Inquisitor only problem. Dragon Knight seems to be a top tier, and it seems to be that once she gets going, there's not much any character can do. So you just like the matchup is defined by how well you're able to disrupt her getting her offense started. But yeah, Dragon Knight And so for one thing, like as you see, like her DP is effective and it's better than my DP, which isn't saying much because Inquisitor's DP is quite bad. And because she's up in the air, like there's actually not much I can do once she jumps, because usually she's like hovering right above my head where my DP won't reach, and my 2S is too slow. So I might be able to jump to like contest, but I've never tried it, so I can't really say. The thing about Dragon Knight is that if you give her any moment to breathe, she'll turn on her dragon, and even if you start pressuring her after the dragon is activated, the dragon will keep going and do his move. And so she's very reminiscent of Vanilla Exerd's Ramlethal, if you remember. It's like 5 years ago, 6 years ago at this point. But yeah, Ramlethal, before they nerfed her and put her in a wheelchair, she would set swords, and the sword activation was almost instantaneous. And once the sword was activated, the sword would do its attack animation, even if Ramlethal was getting hit, even if she was blocking, doesn't matter. And so basically, like, the strategy was to like air tech with your sword normal or sword buttons, and you always had pressure started. And Dragon Knight isn't that bad. It doesn't seem like it anyway, but it's pretty bad. The strategy I've seen Dragon Knights do is basically they will jump back, do the big fireball, activate the dragon, and then run in. And there's very little Inquisitor can do about it. I think I could do jump, if I jump with her, I could stop the fireball from coming out, but as you saw from right there, only sometimes. And if Inquisitor gets hit once, and Dragon Knight can come in, Dragon Knight has a bunch of high-low mix-ups, and they're completely safe because of the dragon. And I can't even press buttons because the dragon will interrupt me if I try. Like, the best I can do is try to find a hole where I could DP. And if Dragon Knight is able to block the DP, well, congratulations, you just lost the round. And that's another thing, where Dragon Knight has the exact same awakening skill as Inquisitor, except it's slightly better. So pretty much, if Dragon Knight is an awakening and tags you once, you just lost the round, because they have plenty of mana to extend their combo basically infinitely to finish a round. And obviously, if they're an awakening, you're usually not at full health anyway. So that's pretty much for Dragon Knight. If you have like any tips of like where her holes are in the matches, in her strings, I'd love to know, because right now it seems like there are barely any holes, or you can construct your offense to have no holes. But anyway, moving on. Honorable mention, Swiftmaster. If his health wasn't so low, he'd be a huge problem. But his health is about Inquisitor level, and so as long as I can keep up in neutral and not be too greedy, Inquisitor's not too bad. Another honorable mention is Crusader, but I haven't ran into Crusaders because they're probably all in Diamond at this point. So Troubleshooter. Troubleshooter, I don't even think is a top tier. I think he's about Inquisitor's level, maybe a little bit higher. But yeah, he gives me trouble because he's a zoner. The grenades are a huge problem. He's another problem character where he just is faster and has more range than me. Also he has that DP. That DP has so much range and is so fast and is so invulnerable that I just have to respect it. So even if Inquisitor, is able to get in and start some offense, I always have to worry about that DP just ruining my day from anywhere on the screen. So like, whereas other characters' DPs, I could like outrange or something, or I could throw a potion bottle to back off. I can't do that with Troubleshooter. I can't even roll through the DP and be guaranteed to be able to punish it half the time. And so I have to, I have to be very cognizant and be very careful with my safe jumps to make sure his DPs don't work, and really bait it hard. And he could also just not DP and then just take his turn if I try to bait it, which I guess is a problem for everyone. Yeah, he also just does a lot of damage if he gets any hit, which the DNF Duel is just how it is. But Troubleshooter seems to be a pretty egregious offender. In fact, I think really every character does a ton of damage, except for Inquisitor, but just how it is. Anyway, I don't know how much I have to say about him, other than I'm sad and he makes me lose ranks. And even if he's not a top tier, it's still just a disadvantage overall, and I have to play play much better and make way less mistakes than him. Anyway, that's the 3 matchups that haven't given me trouble. If there are trouble matchups for you that that I didn't say that you wanted me to talk about, or that you want to talk about, please write in the comments and I'd listen. And I probably agree in some cases. Yeah, like I said before, like if these characters just went away tomorrow, I'd probably find 3 new characters to complain about. And yeah, if there are problem matchups for Inquisitor, it's largely due to me not actually running into them, which is why I'm not complaining about them, rather than me not having trouble with them. So yeah, if you want to see some Inquisitor videos, I have a playlist of my Road to Diamond, which is me going through the ranks and with the goal of getting to Diamond. It's mostly silver matches at the moment, but we're going to get into golds very soon. By the way, it's a spoiler, what's coming up. And, I mean, this whole video is a spoiler, so who cares? And if you want to know more about Inquisitor, I do have a guide. It's a little bit outdated, but it'll get you started for certain. And I also have a follow-up that gives a little bit more of an update. Anyway, with that, I'll catch you later.